the Talmud tells a story about a funeral procession and a wedding procession who meet at a tzomet, at a juncture. Who should have the right of way to move past the stop sign? Which mitzvah takes precedence? Honoring the dead or celebrating the living? After pages and pages of vigorous debate, the rabbis of our Talmud come up with compelling opinions on both sides of the argument and ultimately decide that the wedding party has the right of way. Our tradition teaches us to choose life, to choose opportunities for joy, for light, and for goodness, even when it's hard, even when there is great pain, even when we feel broken. We are not told to ignore the brokenness that is very real and present in our lives, but we are taught to try as much as we can to drown the dark realities of our world with more and more light. 2 weeks ago, amid heartbreak at the news of 6 Israeli hostages whose bodies were recovered from Gaza, I officiated the wedding of dear childhood friends. It was not comfortable, natural, or easy to bring light at that moment into a world that felt so dark. But it is what we are called to do and what we're taught to do as Jewish people. It's who we are. As my friends smashed the glass at the end of their chuppah ceremony, at the peak of their joy, al rosh simchatchem, they invoked the anguish and the brokenness that surrounds us. My friends will place the shards of their broken glass in a mezuzah that will hang in the doorway of their home. And every time they walk through their front door, they will be reminded of the power and the responsibility of their love to bring more light to our people and to this world. We need it so badly. This week's Parsha, Parshat Ki Teitzei, contains 74 mitzvot, the highest number of commandments of mitzvot in any of our weekly Parshiot, our weekly Torah readings. Rambam even is known to say that if we only as Jews had one Parsha, one Torah portion, one section of our Torah to live by, this would be it. This would be the one that would teach us how to live as Jews. But at first glance, the content of these mitzvot are a little bit disjointed, maybe even irrelevant to us today. Laws about how to treat captives in a war have unfortunately become all too real for us today. But shooing away a mother bird from her nest before taking her eggs? Helping your neighbor with their wayward donkey? Remembering not to pick up a piece of fruit after it falls out of your basket during harvest season? I don't know if it's so easy to figure out how those rules apply to us today. What is so central, so important about these seemingly random and unrelated set of commandments that they could be thought to be a placeholder for our entire Torah? Lo tir'eh et shor achicha, hashev teshivem le'achicha. If you see your neighbor's ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to them. Lo tuchal lahit'alem. In the face of another's suffering, we must not remain indifferent. When we see pain, it's easier to ignore it, to busy ourselves with something else, to make up excuses, to turn away. Though looking away or walking by might be easier, our Torah teaches us that it is on each and every one of us to actively do something to help reset the balance, the equilibrium of our world, to bring some goodness into a world that just showed us its darkest edge. Ki kareh ken sipor lefanecha baderech. If along the road you happen upon a bird's nest with fledglings or eggs, and the mother sitting over the fledglings on top of the eggs, do not take the mother with the young. This mitzvah can't really be only about animal cruelty, as why would the Torah have permitted taking the eggs at all in the first place, if that's what this is meant to teach us? So perhaps this mitzvah comes to teach us something about our job, our role in the world. It might be more tedious and time-consuming, but to kill the mother bird and its baby at the same time, which would probably be easier, would probably be your first instinct. But it would be like picking a ripe fruit and then chopping down the tree it grew on. Even when it is easier and more beneficial to take and take and take, to consume without moderation, mitzvot like this remind us to think about our important role in bringing balance and equilibrium to the world. By shooing away a mother bird before taking her nests, we actually give that bird an opportunity to continue to create more eggs. We help that bird choose to make sure that she might be able to feed others too. And just as we balance the world's ecosystem through all of our behavior, we have the power to balance the world's scale of dark and light, of good and evil. Ki tiksor ktsircha besadecha, v'shachachta omer basadeh, lo tashuv. When you reap the harvest in your field and you overlook a sheaf in the field, don't turn back to get it. It should go to the stranger, to the orphan, to the widow, in order that your God may bless you in all of your undertakings. When presented with an opportunity to make a positive difference, again, our Torah teaches us, you can choose good. Your fruit falls on the ground, it may be your first instinct to just pick it up. 10-second rule, I'll bring it home. But what if we left it instead? Which would take a little bit of a reminder in our own minds and our own hearts about really how to choose goodness. But what if we chose goodness? What if we left the fruit instead for someone else? When we are this conscious of every little decision and action that we make, when we consider how much our behavior actually matters, how much the goodness of the world depends on our goodness, our intentional goodness, only then can we truly be blessed. In the face of someone else's suffering, it is easier to turn away. In the face of plenty, it is easier to take more than we need. Even when it doesn't feel obvious, even when it requires a little extra effort, a little extra thoughtfulness, even when it seems like no one is looking, the mitzvot of Parashat Ki Teitzei remind us again and again that we have the power to choose goodness and to make our world a better place through even the smallest of our actions. At Hirsch Goldberg Poland's funeral, his father, John Poland, eulogized him with the words, Yehi zichrono mehafecha. May his memory be a revolution for good. John and Rachel could have given up on our world. They could have let their grief consume them and extinguish their sense of hope. That would have been easier. That would have been more obvious, perhaps. And that would have been far less brave. Instead, John and Rachel eulogized their beautiful son by calling out to the world, inviting more kindness, more goodness, and more light. May his memory be a revolution for good actions, for good behavior, for offering the goodness of our hearts to one another. What a fitting way to honor the memory of a boy of such light, love, and peace. So in honor of the rabbis of our Talmud who tell us to choose joy and light, in honor of this week's Parsha, these mitzvot in our Torah, in honor of Hirsch, in honor of Ori, in honor of Almog, in honor of Eden, in honor of Carmel, in honor of Alex. Do something good today to make the world a little bit of a brighter, better place. Choose goodness. Choose light. Shabbat shalom.